Well, hey, welcome to the wide world of vocals. All of you singers, all of you public speakers, all of you presenters, all of you fellow teachers. Anyone who is using their voice is going to be able to take something out of this curriculum, out of my lessons and expertise, and apply it to their practical use of their voice as their instrument and their medium. So this is going to be amazing. You come as you are in whatever level of expertise in whatever field that requires the use of your voice, and you will leave as a trained expert knowing how to discuss things related to your voice, maybe helping others out, passing the word along, and just knowing what is really required to take care of your voice and perhaps even utilize different parts of your instrument that you didn't even consider to make sure that we are speaking clearly, we are projecting all of these things. If they sound like something that you want to do, whether you're a singer or not, you're going to enjoy it. But especially my singers, of course, this is going to be something you're going to enjoy. So welcome again to the wide world of vocals with myself, Prince Slater, here as your instructor and presenter today at It's Rockit Science. Of course, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. The contact information will be found anywhere where this presentation is. So let's go ahead and get started. So in module one, this is where it all starts. It's the introduction to singing, introduction to using your voice. Again, considering that this is primarily tailored to my singing students or anyone interested in singing, this is where you guys are going to start your journey. And anyone who's using this information as a public speaker, again, these things are going to apply to you as well. This is where it all starts, where it all begins up until we start talking about studio singing and stuff. Even that, to be honest, can get you to be where you're comfortable, whether you're a singer or not, in the studio. So here in module one, we're gonna talk about so many things, and just like this happy gentleman here, this happy young gentleman here, grabbing the mic for the first time, which looks like one of these microphones I used to have when I was a kid. He's going to need to take care of that voice. So we're going to talk about in week 1 and 2 foundational techniques, understanding the vocal mechanism. What does that even mean? The larynx, you probably heard about it before, the vocal cords, the diaphragm, right? So the voice box, what are these things that are a bit abstract initially? I'm going to provide diagrams so you can actually see the anatomy, pardon me, and we're going to look at videos so you can understand the physiological aspects of our voice, being able to see how they work. We're going to take that understanding after you get to grow familiar with the anatomy and physiology and actually get a good visualization, and we're going to move into breathing exercises immediately for diaphragmatic control. How to use that diaphragm, right? We hear about the diaphragm all of the time, but like, what is it? We're going to get into that, how to use it, and how to use it efficiently, and how to get some control of it. Then a posture alignment for optimal singing. These things, keep in mind, everything we discuss throughout these modules and throughout these weeks, you're going to build on top of this knowledge. It's all cumulative. Week 3, vocal health and hygiene. One of the most crucial parts of the curriculum, in my opinion, and I think you'd agree too. If we don't take care of it, we won't have it, right? If we don't take care of our body, the anatomy, then we won't have it, and then we can't present, we can't sing. So in the long term, I do think this is one of the most crucial parts. And the cool thing is that it is fitting for, again, anybody, anyone, no matter how you use your voice. As you'll see as we move forward from here, things start to aim, they're geared more toward my singers. But if you're a singer or anyone for that matter, this is very crucial, right? Yeah, if you can talk, and I'm assuming that's why you're here. So, proper hydration and dietary tips for singers. Let me take a quick swig of water. Pardon me. As you see, there are very particular ways that we might want to ingest, right? There are different things that we don't want to do, and things that are largely myths as well that we'll debunk, as far as what proper hydration and dietary tips for singers might mean. Recognizing signs of vocal strain. We don't want to overexert ourselves, and just like in the gym, you're not going to stay in the gym all day long. You're going to get tired, and we're going to need to recover, which leads me to the next part, is recovery techniques. We're going to need to stretch, maybe before the gym, maybe after. This could be counted as preventative care just as much as recovery. I like the analogy with the gym because our vocal mechanism is a muscle. It includes muscles, and it includes organs that work together that do need rest, proper nutrition, and hydration. And that leads me into daily habits for maintaining vocal health. We can take all these things that we know and apply them daily to make sure that we are constantly taking care of our body and our voice. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You can do it too, right? So you can do it too. This is going to be very, very, I guess, pivotal for all my singers because this is where we take those basics and we walk through them. And when it comes down to getting a pitch, getting into staying on key, as you might hear quite often, and understanding what tone is. How do we get our tonality to where it is pleasing to the ear, and just like it looks like she's trying to make sure she does as well as she listens to herself. We'll talk about that and why that's very crucial. But again, I do want to let you know that whether you're a singer or a presenter, a public speaker, however you use your voice, maybe these singing exercises are going to help you out as well. I would like to compare it to maybe an NFL player. Taking ballet classes or dance classes. They are encouraged to do this so that they can stay agile, be quick on their feet, and these skills sort of transfer over to the other to help out when they're on the field, just like your field on that stage might appreciate this kind of extracurricular rehearsal. And so there you have it. Right away, we get into ear training. As I mentioned, we're going to talk about why it's important to hear yourself and how to do that, what exactly that means. And to do that, we're going to work on matching exercises. We're going to talk about why it's important to hear the reference tone, whatever that may be. Singing intervals and recognizing pitch relationships. We'll demonstrate that, as well as practicing scales and arpeggios on one of the instruments that I'll have available to us, whether it be a guitar or whether it be a piano, and I'll teach you to do this on your own as well because it's very crucial, very vital in being able to match pitches and get to more difficult things like riffs and runs, which are what a lot of people come to me about quite often. And after we get those basics, we're going to dive into intonation and accuracy in week 6, which, as you see, details how to know whether or not we're sharp or flat. What that means as well, because I know you've heard it if you practice singing, and if you're here with me because someone said, hey, I don't know if they even made the face, right? It's a little flat or it's a little sharp, and you're like, I don't know how to get not flat. I don't know how to get not sharp. I don't know how to move into the correct place. We're going to practice that. It does take rehearsal just like everything else. I'm going to show you exercises for consistent intonation to make sure that you don't fall out of that sweet spot. And then I'm going to introduce things like chromatic and diatonic scales, some more complex things that we can discuss that help you understand the relationship between tones as we move up between our do, re, mi, fa, and all of that. And then that way you'll be able to maneuver accordingly to the rules. Once you've made it this far, congratulations, because Module 3 is your big old check mark that we understand quite a bit of the basics that fast, and articulation and diction are next things. As you hear me throughout the presentation, sometimes I'll speak informally and relax a little bit, which is very crucial because we're humans and it's good to let our hair down a little bit, right? But when it comes down to different types of genres of music, we will have to speak up a little bit more. And I don't mean in volume, which we'll talk about later. I mean, we have to be very clear with our message, meaning we have to articulate. People have to understand the things that we are saying. Right? I know you're thinking of a quote. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. Depending on the song we sing or rap, we may or may not care. Because if we're rapping some of this, some of the music that doesn't require it, then we really seriously might not want to over articulate. Because again, these things can be genre specific. And so that leads us into week 7 and 8, in which we will specifically deep dive into clarity and pronunciation and how to maintain it. And you might be wondering, why did he use this image of this fierce kitty? Well, not even this fearsome lion of a cat can really tell us in words what it might be feeling. Maybe in emotions. It might be what express it. I could tell a little bit, maybe. But even then, we don't really understand unless you have that language with your kitty. But if your kitty comes to me and tries to speak to me, I don't know because it doesn't have language. That's why it is crucial for us to be able to discuss the sounds that we make in our languages. And the cool thing is that using that IPA, and no, I don't mean a beer, the International Phonetic Alphabet for Singers, we're able to discuss sounds, human sounds, and apply them to different languages as well, which is really cool. We often use this when we look up words in a dictionary anyway, but or via Google Translate or whatever. But the cool thing is that this part is good for many teachers as well. English teachers, if you've taught English to any foreign language speakers, you've definitely come across this at some point in time. And then working myself backward, pardon me, to the enunciation exercises for clear lyrics. That's going to be crucial. Again, depending on what genre we're in, we're going to want to enunciate and be very clear. And then sometimes we don't want to, and then we're going to have to kind of like learn how to break the rules. And so, very fun. The role of vowels and consonants as well in singing. I think this is also another one of my favorite lessons because the role of vowels is so undervalued and it's just not appreciated enough as we used to when we were first like little grade school kids. Genres are built around vowels and we write music also around vowels. Think about what I'm saying in the meantime, but moving on now to week 9, singing in multiple languages. Now that we have our understanding of how to use that IPA, diction practices for Italian, German, French, which are really crucial if you're in, again, particular genres, obviously opera being one that comes to mind when you see Italian, right? Really European languages, they were all heavily influenced by that opera style. And then we have understanding style-specific diction. As I was just mentioning in the previous week, we'll go into more ways to really utilize this and understand this understanding. And then we will also kind of do some cool things that's more of a, like some different kind of study, right? Language and art study, and emphasizing cultural context and pronunciation, which ties into bullet point number 2. Module 4, expanding vocal range. Man, if I had $1 for every time someone says to me, Prince, I want to learn how to expand my vocal range, I would be rich. I mean, this is one of the most, this is something that you're gonna probably think about yourself, right? When we hit that peak, is it our peak? Can I sing like Ariana Grande? Can I sing like Barry White? There are some things we can and can't do, and we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about things that we can do that you know deep down inside that if I just try, I can do it. Like the little engine that could. So no one puts baby in the corner yet, right? We might find out eventually that our voice fits in a certain part, but we don't want to just discount it yet, right? Discredit it yet part. So week 10, 11, register control. I told you, we're not going to put you into a corner and say you are that until, well, now. At some point in time in those first 2 weeks, we will actually end up finding more and more out about your body. And as you'll see in the next slide is where we'll kind of finalize, where your comfort zone really is. Here's where we explore. Before we find out who you are, what your actual vocal type is, you've probably heard terms like soprano, you've probably heard alto, you've probably heard tenor, bass, baritone, tenor 1, 2, whatever, right? We're going to explore this, what's comfortable for you to sing initially, and we're going to try to help you grow, and we're going to understand here that this actually still doesn't necessarily categorize you entirely. We still are going to expand as we continue to work and explore these registers and tell you exactly what a register is. And so techniques for smooth register transitions are things we're going to have to get into, and strengthening your upper and lower ranges so that we can kind of really fortify our body's ability to maneuver. And so advanced range development in week 12 is that big one, right? Exercises for developing falsetto and whistle tones, if applicable. Really things that are those difficult parts to where maybe it is out of our range, and now we're going to compensate. And not only are we going to compensate, but we're going to stylistically perform that thing. We're going to make it, we're going to finesse it with these strategies for overcoming range plateaus. And man, I guess I could say almost all of these topics are my favorite. Dynamics and expression. If you've already learned with me, you know I'm big on this. If you haven't learned with me yet, you're gonna have to know I'm big on it. And every teacher is. I come from a choir background. I also come from a church background. I come from a gospel singing background. And man, is it just crucial when it comes down to the natural feeling. You're gonna hear me say crucial a lot. When it comes down to the natural feeling, is very important because your uh, you'll notice that the feelings that we feel are heavily influenced by how strong, gentle, loud, or soft you might sing something, and then what those differences are. We'll talk about them as well. But expression, expression, expression. And did I say expression? Week 13 and week 14, we're gonna be talking about how we can make people feel. Just like this baby. This baby's like, man, that person sang so well. I feel for them. I sympathize. You know what I'm saying? But don't worry. If your intention is to make people cry, you will. If your intention is to make people have fun and laugh and enjoy, we will. But it is all about controlling your volume, right? And these are some choir terms that you might be familiar with if you read sheet music. You might understand the abbreviations. We'll talk about that. If you don't know worries, it's quite simple once we discuss it. Practicing crescendos and decrescendos. How do we grow in tone? How do we decrease? How do we grow in volume? How do we decrease in volume accordingly, appropriately, and speed and all that stuff? And then adding vocal texture and tone, color, again, expression, dynamics, all components of this that are very crucial. It's going to be a lot of fun. Week 15. I think maybe the picture on the previous slide might be Just as appropriate, if not more appropriate for this slide, analyzing and interpreting lyrics, storytelling through the voice, and techniques for emotional connections with your audience. It's self-explanatory. You read this, you understand what we're getting into. If you are a stage performer in musicals, you already know that this comes with the piece of music that you're singing, with the story that you've told. But if you're not and you're singing separate pieces of music and you haven't listened to an entire album, maybe you don't know so much about the artist, but you love this song, these are going to be pieces that we're going to want to dive into, pieces of conversation and pieces of music that we're going to want to dive into as you perfect it so that you can properly sing accordingly, right? And go back into those previous topics and work those the way you should to get what you want out of your music. You might be noticing a trend at this point in time. Genre, singing style. Once we get past the basics, this is going to dictate which direction we move in, how we pivot toward what we're using when it comes down to the registers that we're singing in. Pardon me, the places of our body we're using to sing. When it comes down to, I guess, the stylistic choices that we make. This again is one of my favorite lessons. This makes me think of a music festival. If you've ever been to music festivals, you have a plethora of different artists from a whole wide range of different genres, and you are overwhelmed with excitement and joy because you're like, man, I get to see all these different artists and experience all these different moods within one big old setting. Well, that's what this is going to feel like because you're going to gain this understanding, some tunnel vision just as much as you are excited. You're going to be able to kind of take that in, hone it into one direction, and and you can sing your favorite songs. If it's a One Direction song, we'll talk about how to do that too, because pop is still, even though it's collective of a lot of different vibes, often it still has its particular sounds that we want to use in techniques. So styles vary from gospel to rock, but may also share characteristics and subgenres. As I said, some genres do share and do kind of take cumulative aspects from other genres, and we'll talk about how that is in this module. To be exact, week 16 and through week 18, 16, 17, and 18 exactly, we'll be exploring styles. We'll dive into classical techniques first. Woo, fun, right? Maybe some of you have been so wanting to do this. Even if you're not even if you are classically trained singer, you might, or even if you're not interested in it, you might be like, "Oh, I kind of know it's useful," and it is. Pop rock techniques. These things are crucial, right? As you see, is very important. Is what I mean when it comes down to your pop and your rock, how you riff, how you run, which goes into other things as well. Gospel music, R&B music. Um, a lot of musicals use the blend between classical and between pop rock techniques or other genres that aren't listed here. Jazz and blues techniques, scat singing, right? Improvisation. We might not hang too long on this depending on who you are, but if you're interested in improvisation, this is one of the places that you're going to love and enjoy and potentially want to spend more time on. This is one of my favorites. I'm a guitarist as well, and I just love it. I love this part because I get to accompany others. I get to accompany myself and get to really riff around and mix things up. And when I get into songwriting, and it's going to help you as well. And so, personalized style development in week 19 requires us to take the elements of the genres that we just learned and figure out what we want to do with them whenever we're writing music or whenever we're performing someone else's piece as a cover, a song, and what we're going to do to bring our own unique flavor to the stage, identifying unique stylistic elements of that genre and of that song that singer or composer originally put together for that piece of music is going to be crucial in taking what its core is already and then adding on top of it, blending in our own type of stylistic choices and experimenting with crossover genres will all naturally come together. Look at her. Look at her go. I chose this as so I was like, yeah, this is it. This is perfect because it is so fit. You want to be able to wave the hand maybe a little bit. You want to be able to move, and you do, right? We obviously want to do it appropriately and tactfully, but also we naturally end up doing this because we are feeling the music. And if you're not, then it is time to take a step back and practice. So that's what we're here for. And you didn't sign up because this is easy. So remember that when we hit this point in Module 7, this is a really big breakthrough point for a lot of artists and musicians and skill players, as I like to call us, because we are now working past plateaus. And we're working on ways to make ourselves stand out from the crowd, but more importantly, stand out from yester us, the us from before, who has grown as an artist in some way, shape, or form. And I don't mean we have to do the most difficult things. We don't have to do, pardon me, we don't have to do the most difficult things, but we do want to take those simple adjustments and choices and work them. And then after that, yeah. Yeah, week 20 to week 21 stage presence. We're building confidence on the stage. We're developing natural movements and gestures that make somebody want to sing and dance along, right? And we are also overcoming performance anxiety, a very big thing. I do want to also mention, as you see, these are all paced. Uh, if at any point in time we got to pause, we have to take some time, or we have to come back to a topic, we will because it does take time, right? But naturally, the ebb and flow of this, it will help us to breeze through some of these topics and come back to them as we take note at what's necessary. Some of us might not have big performance anxiety. Some of us might take some time throughout, more than just matter of weeks, to work through work through this anxiety through actual performances first, and you'll never know until you get up there, really. So this is a fun part. This is another breakthrough moment. Like I said in this module, it's really, really, really crucial to our development as artists and performers. Crucial to our development as artists and performers. But did I mention that this is not only for artists and singers and in fact, you are a performer in your own right if you are not just on the stage to sing or act, if you are a public speaker in some shape or form, if you're a teacher, public speaking, something like that. Microphone technique is crucial. If you're a professor standing in front of a lot of college students, you're going to want to properly handle a mic if you ever have to. If you are obviously singing in different genres, there are different ways to do this, rappers and singers, techniques for live performances versus studio recording. And no, I don't mean entirely cupping the mic, right? But there are ways to even go about stylistically holding the microphone as well. But adjusting to vocal dynamics for mic use is very, very important when it comes down to moving from our dynamic mics to our condensers, when it comes down to moving from the stage into the studio, or just never using a mic and then getting to mic usage. Musicianship. What does it mean to now that we have all this stuff that we can do? Maybe we should take kind of like a step back. Now that we got the stylistic stuff, a little bit more of the abstract elements that can be at least, we can go back and get some good old classically trained elements to add on to our existing knowledge now. And a lot of people do come to me with this concern and excitement as well, and enthusiasm to figure out what it's like to be, at least to get a glimpse of what it's like to be a classically trained musician. And even if it's not becoming a crucial expert with like someone who's been doing it for 20 years, but even if it's you want to pick up a piece of sheet music and not be so scared, that's what we're here for. So in weeks 23 and week 24, we'll get into some music theory basics. If I keep saying that they're all my favorite, then I guess I don't have favorites. Understanding scales, chords, and key signatures is so crucial. Again, with the background in choir, I did this so much that I enjoyed it as a break time in between the chemistries and the AP maths and all that stuff. I was excited to go take my break and read this music. Rhythm exercises and timing drills. I love to dance. Again, I will tell you, even though when we're sitting in the riser, standing in the risers, part of me, we want to be kind of like, we don't want to move so much, keep a good posture. It is good when you are singing on a stage and other contexts that you keep your rhythm, right? And there are ways to do this, and we have a lot of fun in ways to learn rhythm and practice it, especially if you're a musician playing other instruments. All of this is going to help you out. Introduction to sight singing will help you out if you're a musician who's reading music to play guitar or piano, just as much as it will if you're learning to sing reading music. Lots of fun. Let's do it. Oh, wait. Okay, so I take it back. Week 25, harmony and blending, my absolute favorite. As someone who grew up in a church with a lot of singers in a family of a whole, oh man, just amazing group of singers. I grew up watching people sing before I could sing, and potentially, and that could be why I'm here today with so much passion for it. Singing in harmony with others is like playing that video game and or playing that sport and just giving that perfect assist, right? Maybe you're not leading, but maybe you want to be in the background as a background backup vocalist. Maybe you never thought about that role until this very moment in our slides, and perhaps that's where you might end up appreciating being in the end all, in the end everything. Perhaps you're in a band. Perhaps you want to be in a acapella group, right? Like the harmonics, I think that they're called. Pardon me, but if you're looking to join a gospel choir, if you're looking to join your church choir, you're gonna appreciate this part. But it is just so much fun. It's like the milk and honey of music. Harmonies is what so much of our musical instruments are built off of. When it comes down to the guitar, comes down to the piano, when it comes down to anything that you can play multiple notes at a time. This is going to be a lot of fun. Ear training for identifying harmonies is going to be crucial. You got to be able to hear the right tone to match. And when you do, again, it's a lot of fun. Techniques for blending in ensembles is crucial. And we'll get into dynamics as well again when it comes down to harmony and blending. The nitty gritty. Module 9, improvisation and creativity. It's rocket science, baby. It's rocket science. It's not always so difficult when you know the method behind the madness is why I branded the way I have, and because there is a method behind the madness in improvisation and creativity. There are many warm-ups you can do. There is actually rehearsal somehow for improvisation. We'll get into it. This is going to benefit you if you're an actor, if you're a singer, if you are someone who has to be on stage as a comedian, perhaps speaking publicly, presenting something, TED Talkers, whoever it is. Very crucial. But again, especially singers, we're going to go into ways to improvise with your piece of music. Week 26 through week 27, vocal improvisation, staying on your toes with ad libs and riffing. Improvisation exercises in different genres. Simple enough. We will have so much fun here. It's like those days of building a story as you're a kid, right? I watch my kid, my little one, grow, and he loves to pretend. You know, Papa, he builds a whole story, and it is so much fun. As I've taught children, I remember our imagination does end up kind of just wilting away in our everyday. We don't put it to use so much. Well, if that's you and that little kid in you is coming out ready to be like, let's just create. I want to create. I want to do something that I don't do every day, and I want to enjoy the different textures and colors of life, and maybe express myself based off of my day to day the way I didn't do it on the last performance on that stage at that open mic or whatever it is that we do. This is how to do it. Week 28, songwriting, creating melodies and lyrics. We're going to take everything we just talked about in that improvisation, and we're going to we're going to get into working with intention. That is something that I have not said quite often yet, which is something you will hear me say very often in our classes. Intention. We will obviously enjoy improvisation as a means of kind of getting out of the typical rule play, and getting into with songwriting a very clear intent, but still yet using vocal improvisation for creative expression. So now you're you've got the skills, you've got the ability to talk with other musicians about your skill and your talent. You've got the ability to express yourself both artistically and professionally. Professionally. Repertoire building and audition prep. Module 10. If you're planning on taking this to the stage, you may want to find out what stage that is. We want to find out who our target audience is, all that stuff. We will in this, and we're going to build our songs and our song list, our set list around it, and we're going to talk about what even a set list is and how to make it appropriate to you. In order to do that, for weeks 29 and 30, we're going to talk about repertoire, I love that word, selection. How to choose the and pinpoint what it is that we want to sing. Just like a business and a product and a service, we have to have that target audience, but we also have to have something that suits us, because I'm not going to sell something that I'm not passionate about. I'm not going to also sing something, of course, that I'm not passionate about. But we also have to understand that maybe the song we're passionate about isn't always suitable for our vocal range or the style that we naturally have the best just sitting inside of us. And then we're going to analyze song structure and lyrical content, which is something by this point we've done so much, but again, with intention now to create a very clear package around you as an artist, performer, and professional. So in week 31 to week 32, this is like when you're in some sort of school or educational program to where you now have to prepare your resume. You gotta get ready for interviews, audition preparation. If you are planning on auditioning for a musical, perhaps you are planning on going into an open mic, or maybe you're going to a venue and they're like, all right, you can perform? Show me you can perform. Especially if you're a solo artist, get ready because all eyes are on you. So we're going to prepare a professional audition package. I'm going to give you feedback. You're going to get some feedback. And at this point in time, you're used to getting it. You're probably yearning for more feedback from me because I've given you so many compliments. And we're going to polish performance pieces that you, at this point in time, are pretty confident about, bringing into fruition and putting into your set list. And then tips for handling live auditions or competitions. You get to learn from someone who's done it so many times over and actually won the hearts of many. And you get to learn from my experience and wisdom. That's why I'm here. It's Rockit Science, and I am your commander speaking. Then, if you really want to do this thing to where you want to take all of everything that we've just done, and or perhaps you came into these lessons already ready for this. Advanced recording techniques. So we're going to talk about taking your songs into the studio so that now you will have a product that is well polished after we've written a song or after we've learned about how to cover a song and what we want to do with it, and go in and lock it into time like a safe. But of course, we're not going to hide that, right? We're going to go and get ready for presentation. In order to do that, we have to have techniques. We have to be able to understand other things like costs associated and so many things. I love this part. So obviously, singers, as this is the wide world of vocals, you will be learning to take your singing into the studio, but anyone who, any non-singers here, of course, this will benefit you if you are even, let's say, a voiceover artist or something like that. Preparing for recording sessions, techniques, or layering vocals, this is going to be crucial for you, especially in today's age to where we're able to do so much with a microphone and an interface. This is going to help you out. But my singers, there are very particular techniques that you're going to want to take into that studio session so that, again, your costs are low, your studio engineer's excited to work with you again and invite you back in. I mean, there's so much to talk about here. And then, of course, we're going to want to talk about adjusting the studio equipment and acoustics so that maybe you take your initiative to recording your own home and how to do that. Clap for yourself, because at this point in time, we're at the final performance and evaluation. Maybe you're planning on uh, taking your journey elsewhere because we've had so much fun for so long. Or maybe, this is just the point to where you can finally consider yourself a professional and knowledgeable and experienced, and you're no longer just a novice or beginner anymore. Kudos, because I'm here to give you your graduation cap and some cool goodies and opportunities to go along with it. Did I mention cool opportunities to go along with it? Week 35 to week 36, we're going to showcase your music and everything that you've done and worked on, and then you're going to have an actual assessment from me so that I can give you the keys to your vehicle and say, hey, you did it. You put in the work. You are indeed a professional. Go ahead and take it and actually start making money like the pros do. Or maybe just go and feel free now that you can call yourself a singer and performer. One thing I didn't mention is in this last slide is that it does not end here at this final performance and evaluation. It doesn't end here. I will, of course, give you feedback for polishing performances for your future. I'll give you steps to take in the future. I'll give you suggestions. And of course, you are now part of the community. So at any point in time you want to contact me, this is where we'll get into that as well. Tips for handling live auditions for competitions and continuous prep and education. Hey, I just want to say thank you so much if you're still here by this slide. It is going to be a lot of fun, and you know that you can confide in your boy. All right, Prince Slater from It's Rockit Science. I do want to thank God here. I want to thank my family as inspirations. You guys have inspired me so much growing up, and I think without you, my friends throughout high school and grade school, middle school, even elementary school, anyone who I've ever performed with, you know who you are. You've given me the experience and cumulative confidence and experience and wisdom that I have here today. And I'm excited for all of you who have learned from me and who will be learning from me after watching this, because you will also be attributing to my journey and my future wisdom and success I'm going to be able to pass along just as much as I'll be contributing to yours. Let's get started. Remember, it's not rocket science, so it's really not that difficult. It's Rockit Science. So it's fun. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. There is a method, and all we got to do is learn it and practice it.